So why do young people get involved in knife crime and gang activity? Some of the key points we've experienced are peer pressure, people wanting to fit in or impress friends, or everyone's got a different background, a different story. Their childhood, their experiences may contribute to that decision that they may have made. Fear and protection. Some people, they've had experiences, I say, that put them in fear. So they carry a knife to make themselves feel safe. But as I said, our statistics show those people that carry knives, they are more vulnerable, they're more susceptible to coming to harm and getting in trouble, and then the impacts go without saying. Social media and music influence. Obviously, there's a wide range of gang culture covered in social media and music, which can have negative impacts on how people think and how they act. Financial pressures as well. Gangs often lure young people in with the promise of easy money through things such as drug dealing, which come hand in hand with knife crime. The consequences of carrying a knife: up to 4 years in prison for possession. Even if it's not used, those sentences are still very robust. You're looking at 4 years, and penalties are much higher. Personal safety, as I mentioned, those people are more likely to get seriously injured or killed by carrying a knife. The impact on family, obviously a loved one getting dragged into that activity involving knives, it has serious consequences on loved ones and family. And future prospects, a criminal record as a result of carrying a knife, it can ruin job opportunities, dreams, and travel opportunities as well. So how can we prevent knife crime? This is a call out to parents, guardians, friends, families of individuals, young people. Be aware of changes in behaviour. Young people staying out late, new possessions, and strange activity that gets the suspicions flowing. And we just need to have those conversations. We need to talk openly about the dangers of knife crime and how it impacts our communities, and then monitoring social media influences as well. With regards to supporting our young community, we just need to encourage young people to get involved in positive activity, to steer them away from such behaviours. Sports, mentoring, community events, there's so much going on, particularly in Crawley. And it's just encouraging and reporting any concerns to the police. Confidential support is available. Some people have that fear of contacting the police. They may have had experiences in the past that didn't fill them with confidence, but there are avenues where you can make anonymous reports, which I'll come on to. So police and partnership work, what are we doing in liaison with the council and other partners? We've got knife amnesty bins and proactive stop and search measures. I've got a box of leaflets, which I'll come on to in a minute, which everyone's welcome to help themselves to. School and youth engagement programs. We've got a lot of activity within the local schools, working with young children and teenagers, educating them on the impacts of knife crime and the support available to them, and also activities that can steer them away from such behaviours. So call to action, really. I'll just encourage the spreading of that message to report anything whatsoever. If you're not confident reporting something to police, there are avenues such as Crime Stoppers, which I've got information in my flyers under the table, sorry. And local support services, youth groups, etc. Please do share those youth groups and those activities that you're aware of going on in the community with friends, family, everyone you know, because they have such a positive impact on the next generation. And together, we can make Crawley a safer place. It's just working together, and just looking after each other. I appreciate I've just spoken at you. Really, I just want to hear your thoughts, answer any questions. I apologise. I'm quite new to the public speaking, I won't lie. But yeah, we're here to answer any questions. Really keen to get to know you all. Really keen to start coming to more of these types of events, getting to know different cultures, getting to know different people. So yeah, thank you for having us. And I guess any questions whatsoever, please feel free.
Any questions? Who's got a question? You do?
Thanks very much. My first one, what's the rate of knife crime in Crawley? And another question is there stop and search exist in Crawley as well?
So the rate of knife crime, I can't give the exact figure at this time, because it evolves constantly. The data's constantly being refreshed. But what I can say is knife crime is a national problem. It's a national problem. It's not particularly more so in Crawley. Sorry, can you just repeat your question regarding stop and search?
Yeah, what's the rate of, is the stop and search carried out in Crawley as well?
Yeah, so we did some work on stop and search for an event not so long ago. And actually, the stop and search figures in Crawley are consistent with the rest of the country. There's no abnormalities as such, but proactive stop and search, you know, is happening daily. There are stop searches occurring daily in every town, in every city across the country. But we are constantly training our staff and sharing our learning with the organisation. We have external scrutiny meetings with the public, so we can invite the public in to view stop searches, discuss their concerns. So there's that transparency around grounds stop searches that are being conducted at present. But are there any other questions, sir, regarding that?
What has the police done to prevent, especially to the teenagers, to acquire these knives? Because we've seen previously it's been easy for them to get them from eBay, to purchase them. So what has been done to reduce this from them accessing them?
Yeah, so the biggest proactive measure we take with regards to what you mentioned is that engagement at schools. We've got neighbourhood youth officers that go around all the schools in Crawley and... Sorry. Okay, thank you. So we have neighbourhood youth officers that engage with all the schools, and it's about education, and it's about educating children and parents, and it's about getting media out regarding the dangers and the signs to look out for. I mean, children accessing eBay and ordering such items, that takes a bit of a collaborative effort from us to educate these children, and from parents to educate their children as well. But primarily it's the work we do in the schools to educate these children about knife crime. And yeah, thank you.
Can I just add as well? I mean, I don't know if you're aware, there's been some updated legislation around knives as well, and certain knives that you can't own anymore. So before, it would be illegal to own certain knives if you're out in public, but you could own them in a private dwelling. Whereas the government has obviously looked at that and made certain knives, like the zombie knives and the kind of much more dangerous knives, like hunting style knives, are illegal to possess anywhere, even if you're in a private dwelling as well. But the only thing I would say adds to that's also really good. But a lot of the incidents that I've dealt with where people have been subjects or victims of knife crime, it's been kitchen knives as well. Everybody's got kitchen knives. So if you notice that there's, if you've got concerns for anybody in your household or somebody else, and you notice that, a kitchen knife's gone missing or something like that, as a key, obviously, sign, I think you should probably report that to us, because albeit we can, look at making knives illegal, but everybody's got knives to, chop their onions and things like that as well. So it's just about being aware and being careful with those sorts of things too.
Thank you very much. My name is Dorcas Amoding, and thank you for your presentation and for highlighting the concerns with knife crime in the UK now. It's really a very downside we are facing with knife crime. And I would like to say that I think by the time knife crime gets to the police, it's too late. We all agree. We need to find where does it start. The police is dealing with consequences. But where is the problem? We as parents of black children, or any child, let's say, where is the responsibility? Because by the time a child is stopped and searched, things have already gone out of control. We just need to sit back and look at ourselves in the mirror and see where have we gone wrong. The family setting. Parents used to parent the way they used to parent. You know, you could go into your son's room and say, what is under your bed? We've seen parents, people who have given testimonies whereby they didn't know their son was doing it, and all the knives were within the house. So we as parents as well, how are we parenting these children in modern times with the edge of children's rights and all the political rights and all these rights that are coming around? Because the police, for me, is a consequence that we are dealing with now. We need to start, where is the cause? Where did we go wrong? Where is the problem? We need to go back and start to dice this thing in very small, practical ways. This is one of them.
Yeah.
We sit here, let's not wait for the police to come and give a report about a death. Let's involve the police before these issues actually happen. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, that's a really good point, and I completely agree. It's good for us all to ask questions, and that is why I think, from our perspective, it's so important for us to get to know our communities and attend events like this. I've spoken about how we educate children in schools, and we have police officers that go in and give presentations and advice, etc. But you're right, we need to make sure that same advice, relevant advice, is being given to parents, to adults, so that we're all working together collaboratively to stop the issue. It's everyone's business. It's everyone's business. That's a really good point, and I completely agree. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you everyone here. Regarding the knife crime, I want to say something, and I want to speak to the young people. If you're a young person here, can you look at me, please? Yeah? One thing about gun and knife crime is if you carry a knife, the chances are you're going to be stabbed by that same knife you're carrying. Because when someone comes to fight you and they know you carry a weapon on you, the first thing they're going to want to do is to disarm you. They take the knife off you and they're going to shank you with that same knife. So, before you carry a knife, you may think, oh, I'm protecting myself. No, you're putting yourself at risk. Because if you don't have a knife, someone is possibly just going to punch you. But if you have a knife, they're going to use the same knife to stab you. Parents, let's get to know our children. Let's stop being defensive. Gun and knife crime is a topic very, very dear to me. 5 years ago, I lost my cousin. He was 35. He got stabbed by a knife he was carrying himself. So when I see someone talking about gun and knife crime, I can't help it but raise my voice. Because you know what? As people of color, we need to do something about it. It starts with us, the parents. So many parents are very protective. You may know your child is carrying a knife or hiding a knife, but to you, you think, oh, no, my son cannot do that. You are responsible for your child. We cannot keep putting all the responsibility on the police. It starts with us. Young people, you know someone who carries a knife? I know you say, oh, we can't snitch. Write a piece of paper somewhere, drop it. Someone will pick it up, and then they'll carry the message on to the relevant authorities. Does that make sense? You are saving a life. You're saving your life, and you're saving other people's lives. So let's take this very, very seriously. Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. And
Any more questions? Can we please have a question from the youth?
If there are any young people here that don't feel confident in speaking up, then please feel free to come and see us afterwards if you want to discuss anything, if you want any advice, etc. I can appreciate it's quite daunting being on a screen, loads of people, but feel free to come up to us afterwards, and if there's anything we can discuss, then we're here.
Okay, so any more questions for the police? I think I've got one here and then there.
I think I'll stand up so people can see me. As Maureen introduced, my name is Yasmin. I'm the Cabinet Member for Public Protection. I'm really, really passionate about knife crime, and we need to stop this. And as parents, like the lady, I don't know where she's gone, there she is, like the lady said, I think as parents, we have a responsibility. I mean, how much can the council do? How much can the police do as a parent? After what I saw about that child that got stabbed in the school last week, I've been really disturbed. And I think that, I don't know if the authorities will like this, but I think in the morning, the parents need to check the children, check the bags, check the child, yeah? Pat them down and check them that they haven't got anything on them, and then send them to school, because how much can the school do? They don't listen. And then, I'm sorry, but some parents, they don't even help the schools. Like if the teacher tries to tell the child off, well, why did you tell my child off? My child is an angel. My child won't do this. But I think it's really important that we need to take responsibility as parents, that we need to do something about this. We need to save our children. We're going to be doing, as a council, we're going to be, during the year, I'm going to be doing a event for the parents about knife crime, and to educate parents and speak to parents, and please come along, and we want to give you support, and we want to see what help you need. What is it that we can do? So I'm going to let Maureen know, and we're going to be advertising it. So we are here to help. The police is here to help. The council is here to help. So please, youngsters, they need to understand this can't carry on. We do not want this knife crime. We need to stop this. We need to save lives. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a question for the guys. Do we have something called county lines? And can you please explain what county lines means?
Yes, of course. Tim, I'll let you speak on this subject. Thank you.
Yeah, so essentially, I don't know how much of an understanding you have of county lines or what its impact in the community can be, but like knife crime, county lines is a national issue, but in Crawley, the main issue we face is we face drug lines that are coming down mostly from London or out of area, and they'll come into the community and they essentially take over certain parts of the community, and they'll exploit our young people or our vulnerable people, taking over vulnerable people's addresses and using that as a place to deal drugs from, infiltrating our young people, and actually what they'll do sometimes is they'll get these young people to do things for them, but they'll use gifts as or the prestige of like getting the money or being part of the kind of drug dealing. Actually, sometimes it can become a quite appealing thing, especially when you look at lots of the things that our children are consuming on social media now. It almost makes that lifestyle look like it's something that they should be aspiring to sometimes, and I think that these groups that come down will play on that. But again, what they'll initially use that kind of prize of money or material things, but then it will turn into fear and violence. So it will be things like they'll ask them to run drugs for them, or they'll build up to that, but then conveniently these people will be robbed of the drugs that they're supposed to be dealing, and then they're in debt to those people, and then it will just spiral from there. But it is something that happens. Crawley is in general a safe place, but it isn't something that's non-existent here. There are drug lines that are operating in Crawley, that are operating from outside of Crawley, that are coming down, and that's something that we do a lot of work around, and we're working with other forces as well. And there are quite big operations in regards to county lines, but obviously it's such a big business. There is obviously always going to be issues when there's that kind of financial gain to be had by these people.
Cheers, Tim. And as I touched on IT issue. As I touched on whilst speaking about the reasons children get into this type of activity, is for parents to look out for, those signs, unexplained wealth, that change in pattern of behaviour, coming home late, strange associates that you don't recognise. As Councillor Khan mentioned, there's some really good positive work in the pipeline to educate parents in 2025. So it's just being acutely aware for parents of those signs of potential involvement in such activity. But yeah, I think Tim summarised it nicely, but if there are any questions, then of course we're happy to answer them.
Okay, any more questions for the police?
Hi, my name's Margaret. I just wondered, is the neighbourhood watch still in action, and what about a parent's neighbourhood watch for their children? Something in that line may be helpful so that they could group together in their different cultures or their different neighbourhoods and have a parent neighbourhood watch with the sole purpose of handling the gun and knife crime.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good point. And the honest answer is, regarding there being a parent neighbourhood watch, I don't know, but it's something I'm happy to look into. And if you're happy for me to take your details or share those answers with Maureen, then of course it's something I'll look into. Same with the neighbourhood watch. There are neighbourhood watch functions in place, but I can certainly come back and get a more detailed, informative response for you. I only brought an A4 bit of paper with notes on. Go on, Tim.
Yes, I mean, in regards to, so my history, before I was a police officer, I was actually a community officer as well, so I was quite heavily involved then with Neighbourhood Watch, and then in the last 5 years, unfortunately, Neighbourhood Watch has become, it still exists, but we've tried to push Neighbourhood Watch a lot of times over, and actually people have become a lot more kind of internalised, a lot less outward looking in general, and actually most people aren't actually that interested in taking part in Neighbourhood Watch schemes anymore, we've found, but that's where we'll use community social media as more of a way, you know, if somebody's had their car broken into, people will use social media now as a way of getting that message out, which I think is partly where the Neighbourhood Watch schemes have started to die out a little bit. But essentially, the Neighbourhood Watch as an organisation still exists, and if you wanted to set one up in your street, you could. But what people have found when they've tried to set them up is there hasn't been much buy-in from other neighbours and things like that, and they've just slowly kind of died out. Yeah, so we do have something called the Neighbourhood Alerts that people can sign up to, and they get all the neighbourhood alerts about the different crime trends and the different activities that's going on, and the police. And we do have, you know, the police have social media as well, and they share these things, and hopefully other people are monitoring our Facebook and our social media and seeing the things that we're sharing. But absolutely, I mean, what you say about parents having there are community groups on social media groups, but yeah, I understand what you're saying about a parent one would be potentially something that would be beneficial to people. Yeah, so we have some schemes. So we have the reboot scheme. So if there's children that are starting to get involved in, you know, there's concerns, or they're starting to come to our notice in criminality, but reboot is the kind of, so the lower level criminality. Say for example, there's a child that's started to come to notice for shoplifting, we can refer them into the reboot scheme, and they do get that kind of support, and they can do things like they can take part in like boxing clubs and things like that, or whatever their interest is. There is generally something that we can refer them into. But we also have the Crawley Football Club have Crawley Kicks, which is like a free open like football route that kids could go to, and we're involved with Brighton Hove Albion Kicks as well on a Wednesday night. So officers, if they've got a concern for a child that's maybe just come into notice, you know, causing antisocial behaviour in one of the streets, they can refer them into Brighton and Hove Albion Kicks on a Wednesday night at K2, and there is actually one of the PCSOs goes down there and plays with them, and there's coaches, and basically just trying to build up that person's confidence, that young person, and actually break down those barriers with the police as well. I mean, I've been down there a few times, and the kids actually really enjoy it as well. I think it has been positive for them to be able to join in with us and see that we're people as well.
Thank you very much. Mukalazi Martin is my name. And I've been here seated thinking about how children move with knives. Can you really take us through the reasons as to why our children have to move with knives? What brings about that kind of insecurity? What do they really engage in that brings about that insecurity? I know you could be at the tail end of this discussion, but I would like to know some of the reasons as to why such insecurities come their way so that they can move with knives. Of course, I don't support it, but I would like to know some of the things which brings about that. Thank you very much.
Sorry, sir, I didn't get all of that. Was that asking the reason why children may be carrying knives? Sorry about that. Yeah, primarily some of the points that I raised earlier on. Peer pressure. You know, young people are very impressionable. If they see a friend behaving in such a manner, you know what kids are like. They're still developing. They will sometimes sort of join the club and replicate that behaviour. You know, like I said as well, people have different upbringings. Some, unfortunately, don't have great upbringings, and this also affects how they behave, as I'm sure all of you in here will understand. You know, people have bad upbringings, and it can affect how they behave, and it's that vicious cycle. They see a friend acting in such a manner, they tend to replicate that behaviour. They may be easily influenced via social media, music. Obviously, social media and music, both brilliant things, but both bring pros and cons. You know, young people are so easily influenced by things, and it can form part of a vicious cycle. Financial pressures, you know, young people may be living in poverty and they may see no other option. They may get involved in unsavoury groups of people, involved in crime, and then that tendency to carry knives, hang around with groups that are violent, that sort of starts to form that vicious cycle, like I say. Does that answer your question, or was there anything else you wanted to ask, sir?
Thank you. Thank you. So what I'm suggesting is, because, like you said, the youth might not be comfortable asking questions. We've got a small room in there.
Okay.
You could probably spend 5-10 minutes with them and have a chat with them, because I'm sure they've got questions that they don't want Auntie Maureen to hear about.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Are you happy for me to leave this box here? It's got some really useful signposting, some leaflets. Obviously, everyone's welcome to help themselves. I've got a Sussex Alerts card here, which is a really useful tool. You can sign up for free, get access to crime news updates, witness appeals, crime prevention advice, details of where you can meet officers, events, direct communication with your local policing team, and you can update. You can tailor the update so it suits your preference. That's a really useful thing. So what I'll do is I'll lay all this stuff out here, and please help yourself. And if there's anything I haven't covered or that Tim hasn't covered, then please feel free to contact us, grab us, and we're happy to answer any questions. But thank you very much for having us. We're going to try and start coming to more and more of these events when we're welcome, because I think this is where we are most effective together, speaking about these issues. It's not all about us speaking at you. We need to engage with each other and hear the voices of the people. Some really valid, interesting, good points raised by all of you today. And it's really interesting to hear, and it actually helps us go back and assess what we're doing, constantly look at ways that we can improve our response to crime, how we support the public, you know, constantly look at how we can support the youth, how we can refer them, you know, signpost them, etc. So thank you very much, and look forward to having a chat with the youngsters now. But please help yourself to these bits and bobs.
Okay, thank you. Adam and Tim, thank you. Thank you. A round of applause, guys, please. So youngsters, do you want to go and spend 5-10 minutes?
So you could talk to us about any issues, any concerns. I was saying to Maureen that I've been looking at youth centres, because I know people sometimes they think they can't afford activities. That's why the children, they're free, they don't have anything to do. Parents can't afford, but youth centres mostly are free. So I'm going to try and get a list together. I'm going to pass it on to Maureen to see what youth centres are doing and what activities we've got, so we can keep the kids busy. And I think that's what it is, because I'm a mother and I used to keep my son busy all the time. I was always with him. We used to do taekwondo actually together. He used to do football, swimming. So, but there are things at the youth centre that have been going around, so I'm going to try and find out some more boxing classes, football classes for kids, and if we can do them for free, then there's no excuse that we can't get the kids in there. Get them off the streets, put them in the youth centres, and at least they're safe.